Greetings and welcome to the For Me to You show. I'm Dr. Clark on another fantastic, marvelous, magnificent day. And today we're going to look at communication. Just going to keep it real straightforward, straight, simple, something practical for us in our daily living that we can use. And that word is communication. And just within itself, saying the word communication, and then your brain gets to ticking and you get to thinking about how you communicated in the past, how you communicate in the present, and how you are going to communicate in the future. Sometimes we're looking for practical things that'll work, strategies that'll work, things that we can actually implement. And throughout our lives, we are sold two dreams. However, neither of them paints a realistic picture of a truly rewarding relationship. The first dream unfolds when we are little and we see movies and depictions of fairy tale relationship where everything is perfect, happy beginnings and happily ever after. And y'all remember all the stories and things we saw on TV and even today, some of the endings, you can almost predict what's going to happen. It's going to all work out happily ever after. But then we know that in reality, it doesn't always work out like that. It sells us on the magical prince and princess falling in love and then existing in a state of constant bliss. This dream sounds ideal, so why shouldn't we believe it? And on the other hand, as we grow up, we're sold a completely different dream. This one tells us that after the initial pink cloud of the relationship dissipates, the rest is dysfunction, a lot of yuck, with some high points in between. In this dream, it is as if we have two people playing in a sporting event without realizing that they are on the same team. Instead, they are competing for who is right and who is wrong, or who holds the power. And right there is what I want to focus on and get you to reflect on and think about. Instead, they are competing for who is right and who is wrong. And a lot of times those things come up in our relationships. It comes up in our communication. And then we get on the defense. Are we just simply shut down? Are we going to drama rage? I'm going to use that word for today. But we get stuck on who is right and who is wrong. And then this other little thing that shows up, we don't really think about it a lot until it really shows itself. And that is who holds the power. Who holds the power? And that puts us in an imbalance just trying to figure out who holds the power. Instead of looking at the situation, instead of looking at the circumstance, instead of focusing on the issue at hand, we end up making everything in that communication personal. All right? So it tells us that we are lucky to have an okay ending instead of a happily ever after ending. So which dream is reality for you? And you have to figure that out for yourself. You hear me talking about Fantasy Island. Sometimes people get into Fantasy Island, they get stuck on simply just trying to entertain themselves and others and never really actually dealing with the reality of what's really there. All right. So you have to realize that you do have a choice. You do have a yes and no, and you do have a weight in your life. And yes, you can create the dream you desire. Really, you can. If you focus on it, you work at it, you put your vision in front of you, you establish your mission, you establish your purpose, you can make it happen. However, it all starts with realizing that you are both on the same team and that the team can't succeed as long as you or your partner don't commit to the team concept. And that commit, notice I'm putting some emphasis on that commit, and then add that mint in there, commitment. All right, that's a key area there in communication, in relationship building. And more about the team concept will be discussed as we go through today. I just want you to focus on some different factors here. Let's do this one. A vital factor that makes a team work is communication. All right. Okay, I know you've heard this a million times, but have you ever truly tried to implement some communication strategies in your own life? And the following techniques are small steps, and many people dismiss them because of their simplicity. And that's what happens to us a lot of times. We don't think it'll work in the United States of America if it's not complicated. When it's simple, straightforward, practical, we got to second guess it, we got to wonder about it, we got to look at it, we got to go, and then we tend not to use it. And then our biggest problem is implementing. Why is it that we try to complicate things? Let's keep it simple. Let's talk about some of the techniques you use in your relationships, in team building, and all those things right there. Uh, Never use the words always or never. If someone ever has told you, you always do this, I never do that, does it really make you want to listen? No, it feels more like an exaggeration of the truth and can make you feel defensive. It is not effective and won't help you build a better team, a better relationship, a more effective relationship. It just won't make it effective, all right? Throw that phrase, just throw it away, get it out, all right? Never use the words always or never. Use when, and I press this forward in my session, whether it's a group, whether it's a presentation, whether it's one-on-one, but use when, W-H-E-N statements, what, W-H-A-T statements, how, H-O-W statements. Instead of generalizing with always or never, get specific. This can be for a positive statement or a negative one. Being specific will make the person feel like you are not judging their whole character, but rather looking at the specific behavior. All right, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, when something happened, when you left your clothes on the floor, what they did, it made me feel like you didn't notice. I appreciate the effort I put into cleaning, how it made you feel. This sentence clearly tells your partner what makes you feel good instead of expecting them to get. So when something happened, what they did, how it made you feel. Identify that. When something happened, what was it? What they did, what did they do? How it made you feel, how did it make you feel? There we go right there. Try to focus on the positive whenever possible. You and your partner want to make each other feel good, don't you? As soon as people feel negativity, and they feel that negativity, the automatic reaction is to turn on protection mode. Not just because they don't want to be viewed a certain way, but because they don't want to view themselves in a negative way. I'll give you a perfect example. If you want your partner to help more around the house, don't focus on the time he or she does not help. Focus on when your partner does and make him or her feel good about it by stating your appreciation. So focus on the positive, okay? Focus on the positive. Give you another example. Last night, when, W-H-E-N, when you washed the dishes, what, W-H-A-T, I really appreciate it because I was tired. How you felt. Your partner will be more willing to do the things that please you if that person feels a genuine recognition of what he or she has done, and that has meant a lot to you. However, what tends to happen in relationships is that people point out the negative more than the positive, which of course means they get more of the negative. And that's what we want to do on this day right here, is to focus on that communication. And I'm going to stay with this for a little while. I'll do another episode. I don't want you to have too much on your plate at one time, but if you can just put some of these things in place, and you'll see a difference in your relationships. I'm Dr. Clark. You can always go to the For Me to You Show website. Just type in For Me to You with Dr. Clark. Boom, it's going to pop up. Podcasts on about, 12 or 13 different venues. You can always go to the website. There's some mini courses on there that you can take just for your personal development. Buy one for your friends. Share one for your friend, all right? But appreciate you listening in. Give you a little bit more. Matter of fact, I'm feeling so good about it, I think I'll just do another one for tomorrow. How about that? So tune in, and always click on the subscribe. It's free, and just share it with somebody. That way, the subscribing is really about notifying you when the next episode comes out. It doesn't cost you a thing. I appreciate you listening in. We're looking at communication today. I'll pick it back up and do another episode, and we'll continue from here. All right. It's another beautiful day, and as always, life is good. You just have to have something to compare it to. Take care.